Late to our own party.
You'd be late to your own funeral, Grandma. Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
We are. Oh, hold on a second, babe.
Tina.
Oh.
Tina was waiting. I'm sorry, Tina.
Tina has already logged off, dear, because.
What?
Just let us know if our audio video is good, y'all.
Howdy ho.
And it is getting ready to rain very hard.
We have an exciting topic.
We're just
tonight.
getting used to this. Tonight, it's 3:00
this evening,
Central Standard Time.
This evening.
So what's our topic, Mommy?
Raising kids without sugar.
Raising kids without sugar.
Mm-hmm.
How do you expect them to grow if they don't have sugar? Do you think, okay, let me ask you a better question. There's the rain. Wow. Will they be bitter?
They're not going to be as sweet.
Well, this is a bitter truth, y'all.
Oh, my.
That we have. I'll fix your filter, dear.
Fix my filter. So, yeah, I think it's a good topic of conversation. I think that it ties in well with many of the things that parents are trying to do, at least with our crowd, right? We're in the homesteading crowd. We're in the crowd that cares about the food. They care about what they eat. They care about what they're putting in their body. And yet we have an epidemic of sick children, sick adults.
And you're making a really larger, broader point that I think is basically kind of what we want to talk about. And that is with this homesteading tsunami, with people's realization that our food system is not just categorically broken. Our food system is systematically deconstructed and destroyed, much like our culture. It's a postmodern food system, you know, and we watch these people that say they want to eat cleaner and healthier, and that's why they're doing all these things, and they're raising their own food and they're milking their own cow and all this stuff.
And that was us.
And that was us, and it still is us and all that stuff. But when you continue to watch, okay, 80% of the United States is morbidly obese. And this one is a major health concern. Two, as a Christian, this is a massive concern, and this has been our concern. There is no difference between Christians. I mean, biblically, we're taught to not be gluttonous, right? And not to overeat. And if you be given to appetite, take a knife to your throat, right? That's a pretty severe, extreme measure, but it speaks a lot to discipline. Food speaks a lot to discipline. But secondarily, our food has been weaponized.
Yes.
And if we can't, it's been molecularly created to be psychotically addictive.
Right. It's a uncontrolled substance, I would say.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's molecularly on par with most controlled substances. And it's, you know, and this is really where sugar comes along. This is what we're talking about, sugar and exclusively processed sugar, high fructose corn syrup. And then even in the crunchy world, in the health food store world, where there's all these
brown sugar, raw
healthy
sugar
alternatives,
right? Coconut sugar. We've done them all. We've done them all. Do you hear the language? It's a very much a drug language.
Yeah, we've done all the drugs.
We've done them all. We've done all the types of sugars. And I don't think that you can and do it in moderation.
Yeah, before we get going, I just want to make sure audio and video is good. So if somebody could respond, it's saying there's only 8 people on. So we're in the shadow band. We feel the shadow burn, but we do this for you, y'all. We do this for you. So if one human that's not a bot could respond and let us know that our audio and video is good,
Just a
I'd
thumbs up.
appreciate it. So we don't just keep blabbing, because the fact that there's no talk in the chat makes me think that there's no audio. But can somebody out there
Just give us a
help a
thumbs
brother
up,
out?
thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Give me something. Is there really 9 people on here right now? Is there anybody? Okay, good. Awesome. Thank you, Granny.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Sorry to drag that out, y'all.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Good.
Audio sounds
Good,
good.
Thank you,
Good.
thank you.
Because sometimes
Yeah,
I've been known to like talk for 30 minutes and then figure out that there's no audio.
Yeah.
Talk to myself.
Okay, so let her rip so everybody can hear us. So
yes. So, and I think we're going to back up and talk a little bit about like our food journey, and not to overuse the word journey, but like to talk about where we've been with food, and also
the journey is super overused.
And also your food journey growing up as a child. I'm just saying it to be facetious.
Yeah, and
now.
I would love to discuss my food journey. It's fascinating.
Yes, I would like to discuss mine too, because it is very fascinating.
Yours is even more
Mine's really
fascinating than mine.
But the really neat thing is, I think, is that when we're raising children, and there is this weaponized chemical warfare on our food system, right? And it's socially normative too. It's the social norm. So when you go to the church, when you go to the family birthday party, when you go to the holiday function, right? It's very much, you're very outside of the box if you don't partake in the weaponized food.
And I get very frustrated in Christian circles. I mean, this is amongst our own family, y'all, where you just pray over it and God will bless the McDonald's, and all stuff. Right. And then, and then to go to church functions and for all of the food to be toxic.
Right. I mean, the canola oil, the vegetable oil, the seed oils, the fructose corn syrup, the sugars, just white sugar, all of the things. It's just like our children are bombarded with all of these sugars before they even have a dessert or have a snack. Their little systems are overwhelmed with sugar.
Yeah, and then everybody else is morbidly obese. And then the people that they're supposed to be looking to as elders and leaders, they're all fat and sick. And look, sick is a broad term. And I practically thought I was going to die for 7 years. So, right. I mean, I'm not coming down hard on anybody. And I mean, our atmosphere is weaponized.
Sure.
The air is weaponized.
Mm-hmm. Genetically,
not to go black pill on y'all, right. But yeah. And then this genetic exposure over generations, right. to sub food, mm-hmm. and this ultra processed food, the seed oils, and then all of these supposedly healthy alternative substitutes, and everything is like impregnated with process, mm-hmm. and all these oils where there's no track record. Mm-hmm. And
it's pretty overwhelming. It's pretty grim when you look at just the numbers, just the sheer numbers, that if we did the same thing that everybody else in America was doing with food, just like if we did what everybody else in America is doing with marriage, right?
And with money, and with every right. subset of society that right. is tragically broken, and right. inside Christianity or professing Christianity or postmodern Christianity, none of the metrics, there's no bump. Mm-hmm. Like when you're in a Christian circle, regardless of orthodoxy or unorthodoxy or Hebrew roots or all right. other factions of whatever, the demographic remains linear, whether it's mm-hmm. like way too many inches around the waist, whether it's just morbidly obese, mm-hmm. whether it's just And, even
diabetics. I
diabetic,
mean,
pre-diabetic.
heart issues. I think it's 1 in 4 now Americans will have or do have some type of full-blown diabetes or are pre-diabetic, right? So,
Yeah.
and it's climbing up there. I mean, even for children, you're seeing it. Just the numbers are ridiculous, and we can just speak to those 3 things and not even touch the surface of all of the neurological disorders in children and cancers in children and adults, and okay, we live in a fallen, broken world. We cannot control everything.
Exactly, but that's why everything gets a pass.
Mhm.
So that is like this broad brush to paint food, to paint entertainment,
Mhm.
separation. And look, this is not a Levitical thing. And so many people want to go down that rabbit trail.
Mhm.
And I mean, I can show you plenty of scripture why that is just, not what we're talking about. And I
Right.
can show it to you practically too, from our own experience and from practice, of eating just meats and all that stuff. But this food thing, food is the most addictive substance.
Mhm.
Food is the most acceptable drug. And
Mhm.
I mean, and we're talking about a general population that is overly medicated. I think that medication statistic is over 80% as
Mhm.
well. But when you're and when it comes to Christianity, we're supposed to be, as Christ followers, as disciples. The root word is discipline. So our diet and our behavior regarding anything, whether it's what we put in our mouth, whether it's
Mhm.
what we watch, whether
Right.
it's what we do, whether it's what comes out of our mouth,
Sure.
everything should be disciplined.
Right. And I think that's why it's a good thing to teach your children while they are very young that, like, it's okay if everybody at the birthday party is eating that. It's okay. This is just, you might as well teach them young that we don't do what everybody else does. And that's okay.
And that's what's been easier for us because, like, we talk about things, we hold minority views on absolutely everything, when it comes to doctrine, when it comes to food, when
Mhm.
it comes to the way we live our daily life, when it comes to, you know, everything that we do is, even as, believe this or not, even as white people, y'all, even as white people
Easy,
with all of our
easy. I'm
privilege,
pretty tan.
we hold, yeah, look at me. And carnivores don't sunburn, y'all.
I don't think we have pure genetics, y'all.
No, we definitely don't have European. I do actually. I know my genetics, and they are very.
Don't get us buffered.
They're
Don't get
very.
us thrown down the
They're
tunnel.
very white.
You're
My
pretty white.
genetics are
I'm
very
not pretty
white.
white, but yeah,
No,
you're pretty white.
no. Mama was a black Paul.
And there's all kinds of other stuff.
Mhm.
So, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Did I cut you off? I was trying to stop you from
I was getting ready to go on a
throwing
rant,
down the
so it
rough.
was very good.
Okay, okay.
And you can go ahead
Oh
because
no.
I was
So
getting ready to.
yeah, I was just thinking about this, and in light of, us coming up on a year of carnivore now, and before we were always crunchy people, like plant-based, but still we had meat in there at different points. And especially when we moved down here, we added back in beef because we could get it and it was
Clean
reasonable.
and good.
But it's very expensive to feed a family healthy. There's just so many things that go into this. Okay. So we talked about there's the social aspect, right? So you're at the church function, you're at the family function,
The pressure.
and you want to please your child too, right? You want to say, yes, you can have that piece of chocolate cake.
And you don't want to insult everybody else
Right.
either. Like,
And because you know your child is going to enjoy that piece of chocolate cake and then they're going to be happy and you feel happy as a mom, you want to give them that. But there is a really good discipline in teaching your child that, like, okay, you can, what's it?
Are you saying that we should have a sugar covenant?
No, I'm not. This isn't
No, that's an
covenant.
inside joke,
No,
y'all. I'm
y'all,
joking.
no,
I'm
no.
joking.
This isn't like follow us
Dude,
as you
trust me,
follow Paul,
nobody
okay?
follows
This
us.
is not
Nobody
that.
wants to.
This
Yeah,
is not
nobody
that.
wants to
This
do
is
that.
just us talking, have a conversation as a family. And hopefully some of you out there might pick something up and take it away and study things out for yourself and try to apply it somehow to yourself, maybe in some way. But we've done it all different ways. So there are some times, right, when we're in a group setting, right? And we don't always say this. Like, I would say 90% of the time or more, we're like, no, I don't want you to have what's on the dessert table or whatever. We have something at home, right? So I have something at home for you, and you have like some type of like healthier alternative snack to give them at home. So they feel like, wow, okay, I'm going to say no to this, but when I get home, I get the better thing,
Even
right?
though the better thing is not genetically crack.
No.
You know what I mean?
No. The better thing is like, what are those little, like those Lara bars that are like 4 ingredients,
Which are heavily
right?
processed, but
And
it's still better than
it's better.
the Dunkin' Hines or whatever.
Right.
Or
It was
the
better
whipped
than
topping.
right, exactly. But there are occasions and things like when we go on vacation once a year, we say, okay, you can choose to have a dessert at night, right? At night after dinner, that's when you get to have your dessert. So there are parameters around it. It's not like you get to eat desserts all day long and eat candy. We've never allowed candy. Candy
No,
has
and
never
that's
been a thing.
another frustrating thing in Christian circles and among our elder peers is like, in order to like be kind to the little children, it's like this social norm to give them candy.
Yeah, I
That's
forget where it was.
very
Like if you go to the
frustrating.
bank, they
Yeah.
offer the
You get the
kids
lollipop,
the
get your
suckers.
sucker.
If you go, and I just say, no, they
The
don't.
guy in the van
Yeah, they don't.
that's like trying to traffic children. He's like, "Do you want a lollipop, Junior?
Stop.
Come get in my van." It's weird. It is weird though.
Stop. Okay.
Well,
Okay. It's training.
that's kind of like tongue in cheek,
It's
but it's kind
training
of real.
for the guy in the van.
Just saying.
Okay. And it's okay to say no is the point. I say, oh, no, thank you. They don't need that, and it's fine. Our children, okay, our oldest is 19. He's not jaded. He is not like, I lived a horrible life. He's not going off the hinges, binging on every junk food that he can get his hands on.
Well, one of the things that doesn't get talked about a lot is when you're eating this ultra processed and what it does to your brain and your hormones and the psychosis.
Sure.
Food induced psychosis is absolutely real.
Depression.
And then, we've had this other larger social construct that happened 3 or 4 years ago that's created this other psychotic trauma. And then,
Yes.
You parlay that with these genetically processed methamphetamines that they're calling food, and then sprinkling a little bit of pollution, some barium salts, maybe some, whatever the cloud seeding that's going on.
Right.
And it's no wonder. And it's all the more reason that if you desire to live a life that's remotely healthy, is that you should be very concerned about what you're putting into your body and how that all goes. And Matt, the boys, I think they just got back. They've been doing an interior remodel and they've been busting it this week. But so Matt might jump on here so he can kind of speak to this too. But,
and I mean, it plays into exactly like you were saying, your hormones, your brain health, your psychological health, your reproductive health. If you want to have children in the future, this all plays into it. It's not just because I don't want to become a diabetic or I don't want to have a heart attack.
Well, yeah. And my point is like, there's so many parents that they develop this mindset of like, well, but if I deprive them, then they'll binge, right? But they don't consider the damage they're doing to their child by feeding them the stuff, or the long-term ramifications or impacts, or
Mhm.
the psychological impact of all that. It
Mhm.
just, it all gets swept under the rug because of emotionalism
Mhm.
and because of who makes the majority of the decisions. And I won't go,
Well, and because it's easy.
won't get into generals,
It's
y'all.
so easy to just say, yes, just go ahead and have it. Right. That's so easy. But I'm talking about when you're out and about, because we've never had it in our home, except for, I mean, we did have unprocessed, like we baked from scratch and did all that stuff. But like we've never had processed foods in our home, like cupcakes and just junk
Plastic wrappered
plastic
stuff. Yeah.
foods. Like we've never had that kind of stuff. But when you go out and about, it
But
is
chips and stuff we did, you know, healthy chips.
we got
and
the
all this
healthy
stuff, yeah.
chips before. But
Which is the same thing. But
so it's easy.
Mhm.
And the other is hard. And I will give it to you. It is hard because I've done it for many, many years now, minus this last year. But I did the whole make every single thing from scratch, stock up on all your bulk food ingredients, cook every single thing from scratch. We did the gluten-free, sugar-free, dairy-free. We did all of these different things for years. We did that.
taste free.
And it's stop. Okay. And
It was yummy.
it was yummy. You liked it. And
Yeah, it was
so and so it's harder. That is really, really hard. But I am here to tell you that there is an easier way, and I believe that it is the best way to eat in our current modern day is to do like a keto, a highly ketogenic, or a carnivore diet or carnivore-ish diet. Because here's the thing. It's hard to do it the other way, to have all of the grains and all of the healthy things and the plants and the vegetables and the
It
fruits
is.
and all this stuff. It's hard. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of meal planning, preparation. There's a lot of waste with it, but it's also really expensive.
Very expensive. If you are going to do it
Right.
and
Crazy expensive.
if you're going to be honest, it is insanely expensive,
yeah.
especially if you're going to do it all organic and whatever that means. And I don't,
even if you're not going to do it all organic, if
it's
you're just going
very
to do
expensive.
single ingredient
It's very
foods
expensive.
for a family, it is very expensive.
Mhm.
And it's just not realistic for most people. But I can tell you what is realistic for most people is meat. And maybe if you want to throw in a couple low carb vegetables, or you want to give them some frozen berries for a dessert in a cup or
It's very
something like that,
boring.
you can throw in, maybe
It's very
splurge,
mundane.
go crazy, have some unsweetened yogurt once in a while and let them have that in a cup or whatever, like with some berries. Or you can make your own homemade ice cream. You could control if you wanted to just put in some honey with it or something like that, or control your sweetener that you're adding into it. It's just, cream, eggs, and
That's
sweetener.
discipline is control. And
Sure.
we have to control our food. We have he who controls the food controls the people, right? Well, you as an individual, you have to be in control.
Mhm.
And there's all of this comfort stuff, right? And
Yeah.
once again, this
It's a
goes
real
back to
thing.
gender roles, and this goes back to emotionalism, and this
Mhm.
goes back to even psychological on all this stuff.
There's lots of
And
reasons. Yeah.
and this even reverts to my Tucker Carlson quote about men with strong fathers don't beat women,
Mhm.
and the matriarchy breeds like woman beaters.
I'm so glad you had a strong father.
And that was Tucker Carlson. Okay, I didn't say it. Tucker Carlson said it. Get mad at Tucky Tuck. And but it speaks to all of this emotionalism surrounding our food. The reason Haagen-Dazs and Queer Ben and Jerry and all that stuff. And the reason, and then just pick up that stuff now. My wife and I, we are that last generation that existed before postmodernism modernism, easy for me to say,
Easy for
before postmodernism was fully implemented.
you. Mhm.
Obviously, it was here. We know about the Frankfurt School. We know about the late 1800s. We know about suffrage and all that stuff. And I don't want to get on a long tangent here, but these are the deconstructions that have produced this matriarchal construct that controls everything. And
You're not
the
talking about
comment.
me, right?
I make the comment that women run everything, and I get all this pushback.
You should, you know
and
what?
all this male
We're
hate.
gonna give TD an assignment at the end of this podcast. He's gonna have to take the last whole minute of this podcast to say how much he loves and appreciates all women.
All women, not all women, but you, dear,
Oh,
exclusively. Only I reserve all of that love for you,
oh,
baby.
that's sweet. Okay, but you
I don't
do
have
love
to-
women.
see,
There's
that's
lots
what-
of women in your life that you love.
There are a handful of women in my life that I love. Yes, that's true.
Don't be content.
But it's a small number of women. And it's not because they're women. It's because I'm married.
Well,
Capiche?
thank you.
Well, there you go.
Thank
See, it's
you.
not that hard. You know, that's the other thing about society. There wasn't this everybody's my friend and we can all talk it out and hug it out. And,
Stop.
you know,
Okay, stop.
it used to be inappropriate. And hey, make America great again.
Okay. What?
Go for it.
What was
That's a
that?
t-shirt reference that a handful of people that are on
Oh
here
no.
will, and I won't reference the
Y'all,
shirt,
he
but
is
I still haven't.
He is super ornery tonight.
Still haven't made that t-shirt yet.
Stop. Okay. What were we talking about? Food. Okay. So
Oh yeah, food.
since we so let's just share some observations, some very clear observations.
Yes, let's share.
Going from
Tell everybody what's on your heart.
Going from it's impossible. Going from a single ingredient food type family, all bulk foods, eating from our pantry for the last few years, or more than that, but going from that, right, to going all in on carnivore, with the exception of our little children still have some frozen berries. I still have some frozen berries.
Unfortunately, our big children still have,
and they still have some frozen berries. Yeah, and they make decisions too,
yes,
as
they're their own people.
They are their own people. But I can tell you that it's amazing to see the responsibility that they do take in their food choices as grown adults, and the other two are not grown adults.
And the more highly functioning cognitive ability you have, the better. This is a self-fulfilling. This is a feedback loop,
right?
And I don't want to be all technocratic.
And they will come back and tell us, you know, if they made a choice to, like, you know, have something that was off their off the plan, then they will come back and say, and then we'll say, oh, well, look, you shouldn't really do that. You should do this. Like, if you're going to cheat on fruit or something like that. Don't cheat on, you know, potato chips or something like that. So anyway, it's a good open communication, and we really appreciate that about our older children. But that all being said, they have lived a very, very restricted, if you want to say, life in their food choices. We've always been extremely strict on food choices, always.
Snobs.
But now, being that we are even, I would say, more restrictive. I know some people say carnivore is not restrictive, but I mean, it is very limited. But what I see in having the little ones in the house and eating highly meat-based, is that because there are just so limited options, like, you know, eggs, beef, you know, some frozen berries, first of all, they know how to cook everything for themselves. Like, that took no time at all. They came right around and did that. But also, they're eating so much less. Like, they eat, you know, a burger and they're good, you know. And even we went to a play group a couple weeks ago, and the mom, they had like a normal lunch for their little kids, sandwiches, snacks, different things. And And we brought a watermelon because we went off plan that day. And I brought a watermelon. See, and you can have those special treats like that, right?
Loser.
And my kids thought that was like, woo, like they thought that was like, they were going bonkers for the watermelon, that was special to them. But she couldn't believe how I said, no, they're not hungry. They're fine. They had eggs and they had beef for breakfast. Like they're good. They're good until like 3 o'clock if it was to be, or whatever, maybe longer. And then they're going to eat again and they're going to eat a good solid hamburger or some ground beef or roast or whatever we're doing that day. And they're going to be full and they're going to be fine. And how easy that is compared to what I used to do, like compared to the drawer full of recipes.
I called it the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
And everybody would get like their own meal. And it was so frustrating to me because as a child and being raised like, well, this is what's for dinner and you eat it or you go to bed hungry and we put your plate in the refrigerator and when you're ready to eat it, you eat it.
That's what we've done though. That is what we did. That's totally what we did. Where were you at? Stop it. You're at work. What are you talking about? It was just the Ritz-Carlton because this is, I don't think you're remembering. You're not remembering this.
I'm misremembering this.
So it's the Ritz-Carlton because I wanted to, in an attempt to make everything like special, like I would have like oatmeal and then it would have all the toppings on it and chia seeds and pumpkin seeds and berries on it. And we had oatmeal with berries and all the toppings. We would call it like an oatmeal bar. We had that almost every single day that was like a standard was oatmeal.
Yes. We lived in opulence, y'all.
Come to find out oats were like really not good for you. But we did the like, if you're not hungry, we'll put it away. But do you know how many times a day you put it away, take it back out, put it away, take it back out? Because
very familiar.
The carbohydrate roller coaster is like I eat, I get a sugar spike. Up 20 minutes later, I'm hungry again. I need to eat again. And it's just like that all day long versus now it's like they eat, they're good for a few hours.
They're satisfied.
And then they come back and they eat again and then they're good. And they might eat. Sometimes our older kids are eating once a day and that's by their own choice. They are working men, so they're out and about. And a lot of times they're not even eating at home. They are getting their burgers when they're out. They might eat at like 3 o'clock and then that's it. They come home and they're like, no, we already ate and we're fine. We don't need anything. Or there's other times they come home and I'll text them and say, I have hamburger defrosted if you want it. And they'll come home and grill up a bunch of burgers and then eat that. But the freedom that comes with eating that simplistically is just amazing,
Well, yeah, and the cost savings is kind of incredible. And then the health benefits, it's a trifecta. I mean, yeah, big fan. Big fan.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's definitely outside of the box, but I think it just plays into if you and you explain to them why. I feel like we always tried to, no matter what it was that we were doing with our diet, our food, we would show them videos. Our kids, they listen to all these doctors we've been listening to, Dr. Barry, Dr. Chafee, all these different doctors. The older ones are listening too. They are, they're downloading the podcast, they're listening because they're educating themselves and saying, okay, so this is what we're doing now. Let me try to understand it.
Well, and in large part, when you watch 80 to 90% of everybody around you, regardless of whether they're sad, standard American deal, or whether they're healthy and crunchy, and you're watching this epidemic of health and you're watching people that are saying they're doing all this, yet they become more inflamed and larger and larger and larger. right. And why is that? And, and then as you learn with everything else, I mean, when you talk to your kids about the Civil War and about Lincoln, like, well, wait a minute. We were always taught and told, and all the different television shows and the government school said this, and these McGraw textbook said Hoot and Mifflin, and who's Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, the Maxwell guy that owned the education books. There's a really great something to look into for you. You got a Mossad guy that's making educational books for American schools, but real interesting. Yeah. And go Clinton, same thing. Go Lincoln, and yay fascism. And, so when you're like, wait a minute, you me like the predominance of popularized history is categorically false. Well, if that is false, and if the food pyramid is fake and false, and everything's run by, Coca-Cola and Pepsi and all that stuff, like, and it's lies and deception. The truth is the truth. Lie is a lie. And as Christians, we need to walk in the light, and we can't have fellowship with darkness, and we can't believe a lie. We can't lie to ourselves. We have to, the only way you fix anything error. It's another reason why I hate higher criticism, lower criticism, textual criticism. Right. It's a deconstruction tool to deconstruct once what was common sense, logic, and reason. Right. And it's been deconstructed.
Yeah. And I think Ingrid had a couple questions. One was up here at the first one, down, right there. Yep. She said, could it be possible for the cow beef feeds are also perhaps tinted, and we eat that as well?
Tainted, you mean?
So tainted, yeah. So our cows that we are eating are from our own field, and they are not having grain. However, cows that are fed grain, and it doesn't have to be a perfect grain. Cows have stomachs, right? So what is it, like 3 stomachs in a
Correct.
cow, right?
Correct.
Am I saying that right? I should know. We have lots of cows. So because they are tell me the word, ruminant animals. God speaks a lot about ruminant animals, Ingrid, and ruminant animals. So like deer, goats, sheep, buffalo, basically any animal that grazes on grass, right? A lot of them are
cooney pigs,
right? They are not ruminants, but
but they do graze on grass.
I need a button. No. So the ruminant animals that have several stomachs, even if they are fed grain, by the time that it goes through all of their stomach processes, it's not actually, those chemicals and those things are not actually contaminating the meat. Now, when you get into like birds, like chickens, no, it's going straight to the meat. Rabbits, it's going straight to the meat. They don't have all those stomach systems, but the stomach systems that God designed for those animals actually is a purification process for us. So even if you were only able to buy the worst of the worst ground beef at the store
right now, so far
as it stands today, right now,
but big caveat, not pink slime.
Not pink slime.
That's the problem. When you're buying ground beef, you could be buying pink slime.
And you could not know because of the labels. But But all that being said, it's still going to be better for you than a box of granola cereal that you think is organic and healthy and whatever. It's still going to be better for you. So,
and it's still way less processed than any of that stuff too.
So that's part one. Part two of Ingrid's question was down here. Can I ask?
Why then did God have all these foods from the ground for us? Unfortunately, society now played with it, but I trust God that we have no fear, but eat also from the ground. Yeah, I understand the reasoning. But from just anecdotal observation, I'm not seeing it. That's all.
Right.
Currently.
Today.
Yeah, currently. Just and so we don't we try that, and if it works, you do it.
Right.
If you try it and it doesn't work,
right.
And maybe these other people, I mean, that are supposedly doing all this stuff and growing all their own healthy food and all this stuff, and they're doing that too, and you're watching them like balloon up like, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I don't know.
I mean, I think it comes back into the filtration system, right? So cows, ruminant animals have a filtration system and plants don't. So when you talk about the chemicals that are being sprayed on us in the sky, when you talk about
rain on everything,
all of the chemicals in the air, the pollution,
in the water,
the fluoride and in the soil. And I know PFAS. Some people are like, oh no, not my soil. My soil's great. No. But I bet you would be shocked if you had your soil tested, because if you live anywhere, there's probably those plastics that are in the soil. There's stuff that have drained off the roads into your soil. There's chemicals that have come out of the sky, and guess where they land? On your soil, on your good soil. Okay.
That's why they do it. That's why they're doing it.
Those chemicals that are in the sky are sprayed on
Why are they spraying barium salt? To ruin the soil. Right.
So, and then you have to water that garden, and the water is contaminated with these same pollutants. So these plants are now bombarded. These organic, homegrown, yippee skippy plants that we grew for years in our garden. And even before that, when we were up north, we always had a garden. And we ate our stuff that we planted in the garden, but it is defected. It's that's the only thing that I would say as an explanation of why these plants seem to be harming people when God created them for good. I would say, one, all the plants that we have today aren't the plants that God created. We've hybridized them, and like
but I don't have, I don't have a problem with hybridization if it's from a breeding program where you're crossing plants in. That's husbandry. Sure. And man has been doing that by commandment from God. So I don't have a problem with that. But our soils, ask anyone, our soils are so depleted, so like insanely depleted, that even growing and building your soil and doing all that things, like we can't even even quantify the lack of nutrition, say, of something that was even grown 50 years ago.
We did a lot to our soils. It was a lot of work, a ton of work to grow a garden. Then to grow, and it's only half the battle. Then you have to harvest it. Then you have to bring it in. Then you have to preserve it, whether it's canning, drying. You have to find a way, freezing, to put all of that food away so it doesn't go to waste. And at the end of the day, calorie for calorie, you are way better off.
I just got here. There's a chair right over there.
You're way better off prepping animal proteins than you are prepping plants, because it takes a whole lot more rice. And arguably, that rice is never going to do. You can eat rice all day long, but that rice is not going to give you that nutritional punch as a hamburger. If I was surviving I'd rather have one hamburger patty in a day than 5 cups of rice.
Yeah, I mean, well, the reality of it is you'd rather have the fat out of the hamburger patty than any of it. I mean, the fat's the most, which you'll never get the fat out of a garden ever.
He's my son. He's my son. Did you see what he did?
No, he plugged in
He
the
plugged
lights.
in the lights.
It drives me crazy when they're turned off and they're like in the background.
Yeah. You are your mother's son.
Welcome home, son.
There's a very controversial video that has over 5,000 views now.
Did you kill a snake?
Yeah, we killed a snake.
Uh-oh.
It was poisonous.
It is.
Well,
it is very.
Okay, so I do
you
stand
want
corrected on this because
It wasn't a poisonous
it
snake.
wasn't poisonous, but
you thought it was poisonous.
snake
but it
murderers.
looks very poisonous though. It's a Western rat snake,
Oh.
but
Oh,
it
it
has
wasn't.
patterns that look just like the other poisonous snakes that we have here.
And
Okay.
that
But it
home-
wasn't a black snake though.
But they had little children too. And you
Yes.
said, I'm so glad that we got that snake
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
any of
yeah,
those little kids. could
And
have
there was
reached in.
a mama bird she was freaking out because it was her nest.
Yeah.
And
So
I don't know if it already if she had already laid her eggs in there and it had already eaten them or
You
whatever.
did good. You did good.
But
You know, snake apologists kind of, Satan.
I don't know.
Okay. Satan.
I don't know.
Okay. Satan.
What are we supposed to do? So I say
No, but I'm just saying there's even like a biblical overture here.
I know.
All right. And so man should not like snakes, period. And if you're a snake, look, I've never met
We-
ever.
us boys were saying on the ride home, we said kill them all and let God sort them out. Okay.
That's very Jesuitical of
Especially when
you.
you're
I
in
don't think we
Texas.
should kill them all.
Especially
Not
when you're
all,
in Texas.
but
I
I'm
do,
just
I do
saying.
appreciate the cycle
Definitely.
and the systems
Definitely.
of the life. And
But
all
we
that
were
stuff.
looking
but at the
up,
same
like,
time,
We
How
don't
many
abide
snakes?
by kill them all and let God.
No.
Just clarification.
No,
We were just joking.
That was,
But-
no.
We looked it up and it said tens of millions
Very
of snakes
military industrial complex.
live in Texas.
It's very Republican of them.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you thought you were doing a good thing because, this woman has little children and there was a
You did a
snake.
good thing. People that your natural instinct, you're not going to know if the snake is poisonous or not.
no. Unless it's
Unless
clearly
you're
a
like-
black snake.
Yeah,
or
unless you're
something
like
that.
very like, oh,
hard
let me
to
kiss the
tell.
snake
There's
and let me
so
get
many-
all, let me snuggle with it first and no. I mean, so wisdom says at a minimum, get away from it too. If it's
Sure.
hiding somewhere where it can bite somebody, kill it. Well, I don't want to kill it. So, now I got bit and I'm going to die. I mean,
Right,
that's
now,
dumb.
if it was a black snake, we've let black snakes go.
Sure, yeah,
and
yeah.
even down
The only
here, black
yeah,
snakes are actually
yeah,
good because they
definitely.
eat other
They
snakes.
kill the rodents and all that good
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
But up
But I'm-
north we had
but-
garden snakes.
Right. But I'm saying like, if you're not quite sure, kill it.
yeah.
That's what
It's better.
there was a couple people that said that. If
Yeah.
you don't know what it is,
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, it's better safe
Yeah.
than sorry.
It's not like
yeah.
that snake's going extinct or anything.
No, there's people thinking it was like going extinct.
Yeah, of course.
It's like insanity.
Save the snake. Kill the people. Save the snake.
Yeah, exactly.
You terrible.
And they- we're
human
acting
being.
like we
you
killed a
useless
puppy.
eater.
No, that's
I'm like,
horrible.
it's a
But
snake.
if
You
it would
did
have
kill a
bit
puppy.
one of those little kids,
You killed a snake puppy.
then they would have been like,
Snakes are the
"You're
new puppy."
horrible."
In postmodern 2024, snakes are the new puppy.
All snakes freak me out because whenever I run into one, I'm not ready for it, and I'm like, "Oh crap, there's a snake there," and they normally scare the junk out of me.
There is a
And
there's a gigantic snake in the back food forest.
Really?
I mean, like this-
Python size.
I mean, this thing is like way over 8 feet long. And
It's probably a black snake. Or no?
No.
Really?
I mean, I don't
Uh-oh.
think it was a copperhead. Something has bitten this snake's tail off,
no.
but it is mondo
What?
huge.
What? You've seen it?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was all
Oh.
curled up. Yeah. And I
Oh.
didn't have a shovel with me. I would have took it out, but
Yeah.
it is big.
Yeah. And when we were up north, we didn't have poisonous snakes, so we didn't kill snakes, but you could just take them and relocate them out in the woods.
Sure.
But here, no, we have too many poisonous snakes. So, Matt, if you wanted to chime in, our topic this evening,
I'm just looking at the audio.
and we have like 10 minutes left, but our topic for this evening is food. We were talking about why,
Discipline.
Right.
Okay.
Why it's okay to raise children up and to tell them no and restrict them on eating everything that everybody else eats. Why it's totally okay. Like when you go to the birthday party, when you go to the social function or whatever, when you go past the fast food place and they want something, why it's okay to say, no, we don't eat that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not a purist or anything by any form.
Gasp.
I'll go ahead and say that right now. But
Oh boy.
there's stuff that are non-negotiables, and I'm like, McDonald's,
Right.
Sonic. I don't even stop
But
there.
they've been non-negotiable for like
for forever.
your life.
Yeah, it's like cigarettes and alcohol.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Sure,
So anyway,
It's on par.
Yeah.
Yeah, on par.
So anyway, there's stuff that, or if I'm at a birthday party, which I haven't been to a birthday party and I don't even know how long, or if I'm at like a church function or something.
Yeah, church birthday parties. Yeah.
Once you've been somewhere that has really good, high quality desserts and food, aka cruise boat, it makes a lot of normal trash food, normal junk dessert and everything taste really bad, actually.
Like the the desserts you buy at the grocery store in the plastic thingamabobs that are just
Ooh, those
80% seed oil
No,
and high fructose
so bad.
puke.
So normally what I'll do is I just won't eat dessert there, or maybe have a little bit of something that might be kind of good or something, but then I'll just be like, I'll treat myself later to something if I want to like some type of healthier ish ice cream or something.
That's what we're talking about. Exactly what we're talking about. Yeah.
You can't be super perfect about everything like that.
No.
But
and that's what we're talking about too.
Yeah.
You
can try, trying's better. Trying to eat healthy is better than not eating healthy at all.
Yes.
But I definitely, it is tricky when you're working really hard and trying to eat healthier and stuff like that.
So how do you, like, in a daily basis, when you go and stop
Pandora's box, here we go.
Definitely
You open the box, mother.
When we're working really hard, like this week we worked over 60 hours, which is awesome. We've been really, really busy. Getting our fats in the morning really help. So we only eat once a day, period. And then we only limit ourselves. If we are going to eat out, we will stop and eat a hamburger.
And how do you get your hamburgers?
We get double hamburger. We'll get a double bacon cheeseburger. And
you smother it with like ketchup and barbecue sauce and all that kind of stuff. So how do you get it?
Normally,
how do you eat it?
Normally, it has bun. It'll have its bun on there.
Terrible.
And it'll have some lettuce on there or whatever.
But
no fries though. We don't get fries there.
Thank you.
So we do that's the one thing we don't do. And then certain times of the week, I forget, once or twice this week, we came home and we made burgers, here, and we're only making them with cheese on them. And the two spots that we do stop to get burgers in town, they have like the most amount of meat out of all the other burger restaurants. The last time we were working out there too, we stopped at Bodacious and we got some sloppy joes. Those are really good too. And also the smoked sausage that they sell is really good too. So mainly just trying to keep it as healthy as possible. Relatively.
Now, do you see a big difference? Because I was saying I've seen a big difference in the little kids, but also in you all with eating. Like you don't have to eat all day long like we used to.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and just using it as like intermittent fasting too. So not eating all day until 4 or 5 o'clock or even 6 o'clock. Just being able to push it out is really good too.
So you have your coffee in the morning, and then what do you put in your coffee?
I do 5%, 4 drops of 5% iodine, a scoop of creatine, which is about like 5 grams of creatine. Then I do about a half a stick of butter, and then some heavy cream in there. So
you're getting your fats from
and then normally like two spoons of honey in there too.
Okay.
So
yeah, so your only
and that's in about
in a day
quart.
is the hamburger bun, which I think Dr. Berry said there's like 20 carbohydrates. So I don't know, say 30.
So I would
carbohydrates
say
in a
on
hamburger
a
bun.
normal, like we're flat out working, we are on like a ketogenic,
Yeah,
I guess, or a more,
you're super ketogenic.
yeah, a ketogenic diet, you know. So we're not having fries
High
or,
fat, low carb.
you know, trying our hardest,
Right.
you know, as much.
Because your only carbohydrates is the honey
Yep.
in the morning in the coffee and your hamburger bun.
Yeah.
So
And I've tried to get like a lettuce wrap burger, but it's just kind of slimy and
Yeah.
nasty.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's going to be a deal breaker for you, you know, for you all. I think that when you're young and,
And
you're working as
you know,
hard as you're working,
I know it's not good for me.
Yeah,
The bun is. I know
that's-
that. I'm
yeah,
not.
It would be nice to have at least have a healthier bun option.
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Which if I was like crazy, I could just be like, here's my bun, put my burger on my
You
bun,
could
which
have
you
a-
really could.
Have a bag of buns.
My
and
one,
Yeah, you could do
the
that.
one burger shop would do that. If
Yeah.
I bought the
Raja.
buns,
What's
yeah,
up, Raja?
yeah, Roger would do it. Yeah, be like, here's my buns, put them on there. So
Yes. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. We're almost down to the last minute
Awesome.
where Dad is going to talk about how much he loves and appreciates.
I love and appreciate my wife. She is a blessing from God. She's beautiful.
wait,
and a
you don't
wonderful
you don't
person.
hate all women?
Not all women, and I definitely don't hate my wife.
No
and
way. That's so crazy.
and I speak tongue in cheek about the whole thing about that. But when it does come to gender roles, is a very serious thing.
Definitely.
And it is a building block or destruction block of the deconstruction of society is when we reject gender roles. And it literally, every one of these cataclysmic, catastrophic issues, whether it's food, whether it's religion, whether it's society, whether it's civil government, it affects it in such a vast, pervasive way. It cannot be overstated. And exclusively, this is why we talk about the family all the time. It is an absolute deconstruction of the family. And that's why it's important. And it's way more important than all the other stuff because it affects everything, you know. And here's something else to think about. When it comes to food and women, maybe it's an allegory, or maybe it's just a historical fact. But what happened? What was the first bad food choice?
Oh, wow.
Just saying, you know, just something to think about, food for thought, give you a little food analogy for food thought to consider.
Wow.
And to just kind of build the case of everything I just
Heavy.
said for the last hour.
It's very heavy.
And heavy stuff, heavy objects we have to lift. And that's how you get muscles, right? And that's how we build and grow is we lift heavy things. So I'm going to leave that heavy stuff with you.
Well, I can say this, that women, the home does, the women are, I think, a pillar in the home. And I think that a lot of the food.
They should be.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of the food revolves around the women. We have a lot of control and say on the food. I think that goes hand in glove with the Proverbs 31 woman who got her food from afar. The job of getting that food and bringing it in and turning it into something wonderful has always been the work of the woman. The man was the provider. Maybe he went and hunted it and got it, but he gives it to the woman, and the woman's job is to turn it into something beautiful and life-giving, right? And I think in our pursuit of doing that, we've kind of gotten undermined by our own food systems. And it's like, wow, I can make you a fluffy peanut butter pie with chocolate dumplings on top, and I can put Hershey bars.
Yeah, when you're not in the home and you don't have the time to prepare.
But even if you did have time to prepare, and then I'm giving you this delicious pan of chemical soup, and you're like, oh, this is delicious. Thank you, honey, for the chocolate Hershey bar cake,
You must love me.
you must love me, right? So then that's that cyclical thing. It just happens over and over. And it's like, well, I like to make daddy his fill in the blank because he loves it. Or, you
Mhm.
know, it happens with children too, right? So then you get that dopamine hit because you ate the big fluffy peanut butter soup chocolate
Corn
pie.
syrup.
And then I get the dopamine hit because I pleased you. So now I'm happy, right? Because you're happy.
We're just a
And
bunch of dope dealers.
right. And it just, and I think that that can happen even in the best of homes when you're trying to be purist, when you're trying to have
Sure.
all of your flours right, and you try to have all of your sugars right, and all of that stuff. Like we did paleo for a long time,
Yep.
and even then, you cannot. We're under the impression anyway that you cannot moderate the sugar. Now, I mean,
No, that's a fact. I mean, that's a scientific fact.
yeah.
And I'd rather deal with a dope dealer than a hope stealer. So I'm going to give you another heavy rock to lift. So masticate on that. And it's an hour, y'all. We gots to go. Thanks for hanging out. We appreciate y'all. And and don't forget about our meetup.
Yeah.
June 8th, 10 to 12, Grumpy's Garden Club. Check out the links below
Mhm.
for all of our events. And
Is the website all figured out or no, not yet?
Our processor, our payment processor, I don't think it's figured out, y'all.
Yeah.
We got debanked and we haven't had any orders
Literally.
in 2
Yeah.
weeks.
We might have
And
to go with the old PayPal for a little while.
oh,
Yeah.
ay. But
Just saying.
such is life.
Yep.
Don't hold
and
it against us.
Check out our meetup. And we'd love to meet y'all. And we'll see y'all in the next video.
See y'all later.